Cowboys, and that's one of the reasons why owner Jerry Jones is scared to death not to make the postseason play. He feels that if he's got a hot quarterback, they've got a chance. He's got his wide receiver arsenal probably as healthy as they've been in a long time. They expect to be able to perform much better than they did the last time against these Eagles.
The Eagles will start this game with the football. Bailey will kick it away, and we're glad you're with us. Now, this will be a game where, because the front end of our doubleheader is what it is, with over 7 minutes left at the Meadowlands when we last checked it, we will roll through this opening quarter just about uninterrupted, and we obviously will keep you updated with what's going on between the Jets and the Giants throughout. We'll get into the reason why we keep talking about that, if you don't know, here in a moment. Chad Hall takes a knee. We'll give you a look at the lineups, and it's quite simply this. He says, hoping that simply he can explain it. If the Giants win, and they're winning at the Jets in essence, then the Eagles are eliminated. This game takes on a much different feel for the Dallas Cowboys, because basically the Cowboys and the Giants next Sunday will be playing for the division and a playoff spot in Week 17. However, if the Jets come back and win that game, the Eagles are very much alive, and it's not inconceivable that they go to the postseason if things break right next week, but they have to win here today. And this will be against Dallas to bring up 1st and 5. Did that make sense? Was that all right?
Well, it did.
Neutral zone infraction. Number 94 defense came in the neutral zone, caused an offensive man to false start. 5-yard penalty, 1st down.
It made perfect sense to me, Joe, only because I've been studying it all afternoon right alongside of you. But, you know, if the Jets come back and beat the Giants, then it's going to give a real boost to both of these teams once they learn of that score.
Yeah, and it will give the bigger boost to the Eagles, because they will be alive despite a 1-4 start. McCoy slips and now reverses direction, tries to go wide right and cannot get back to the line. Spencer on the stop. Let's go for a game break. Here's Kurt.
I want to update the audience that was watching the Jets and Giants. 3rd and 8. Eli Manning calls for intentional grounding, throws that one away. Of course, they turn it over and have to punt it after that one. Jets are on the 50-yard line within 6 points, 5.5 to go. Joe, Troy, Pam.
All right, so we will keep you updated there. It's 2nd and 6 here. Vick with a pocket around and throws behind Selleck. 3rd down and 6, and now we look at this defense coordinated by Rob Ryan, and he told us the other day we were way too passive the first time we played at Philly when the Eagles just rolled over the Dallas Cowboys.
Yeah, I thought it was interesting. He said that they were just too cautious, that he coached them too cautiously during the week, talking too much about their big play ability, that he took the aggressiveness right out of his team.
Rare is the day when Orion admits to being too cautious. 3rd down and 6. Vick finds Macklin for a 1st down. And so a conversion on 3rd down. This is an Eagles offense that's 41% on the year on 3rd down. And Jeremy Macklin, who missed 3 games with a bad hamstring, hauls that one in to give a fresh set for Andy Reid's team.
Well, that would have been a real disappointment if at 1st and 5 they had not have been able to pick up a 1st down.
Now it's 1st and 10. A lot of shifting defensively for Dallas. Over the middle, it's the tight end Harbor. Clay Harbor picks up 9.
You know, one of the real keys really for both of these defenses is, can they get after the quarterback? Because there are so many weapons at each of these quarterbacks' disposal that if he has time to survey the field, both Michael Vick and Tony Romo are going to have some success. Early going, obviously, but so far on the throws that Michael Vick has made, he's had a lot of time in the pocket.
2nd 2nd down and 1. Here is McCoy. 1st down, and there's nobody picking up more 1st downs around the NFL than LaShawn McCoy. Let's go back to Kurt for another game break.
Of course, Eagles fans pulling for the Jets in this one. Mark Sanchez on 3rd down can't make a decision. Winds up getting sacked by Tollefson, and it's a punting situation. Giants now have the ball. 20-14. See if they can hold on with 4.5 to go. Joe?
All right, Jets still have all 3 of their timeouts remaining there. 1st down, Eagles trying to win their 3rd straight. Lonnie Brown checks in the backfield alongside Michael Vick. Extra men on the rush. Eagles pick it up for a moment, and they're going to throw a flag for a face mask on Spencer. In essence, a free play, and what a catch. Riley Cooper. And that's all Michael Vick, keeping it alive. 28 yards to Riley Cooper.
That's 15 yards. Will be added on to the end of the run. 1st down.
And they get a face mask on Spencer right here.
Anthony Spencer, they run a stun up front. He has a free run, and Michael Vick, you see clearly he's got the hand, the fingers engaged in the face mask, and still not able to get Michael Vick to the ground. So as you said, Joe, they essentially had a free play. He throws one up. Cooper goes up and gets it and comes down awkwardly, and they're still tending to him.
Yeah, he came down flat on his back. And was able, I believe, to hang on to that ball going to the ground as part of the catch. It's a 41-yard play in all with the penalty. And it will move the ball inside the red zone to the 13-yard line. Remember, you have to maintain possession all the way to the ground. It looked like at first glance Cooper did that. And this is a golden chance for the Eagles here to start.
You see the move right here by Anthony Spencer, and the way that he was able to come free then up the center right in the face of Michael Vick, and he's got to be able to make that play. Certainly not grabbing the face mask, but he had a good look at it. But you see Riley Cooper, a big guy, 6'3", he's able to go up over the top, make a play on the ball. But yeah, as you said, I mean, he just landed right on his back, and that's never fun.
And it's a 1st down inside the red zone for a team that's 50-50, scoring touchdowns inside this area this season. From the 13. Vick was looking for McCoy and now just has to throw it away. Big pressure by Ratliff. Let's go for another game break. Here's Kurt.
Well, the Giants trying to march down the field. DJ Ware gets the run, but watch as he goes out of bounds. Runs into his head coach, Tom Coughlin. Coughlin now on the bench with an injury. Giants holding on 20-14. If they win this game, next week will be for the NFC East Championship, no matter what happens in your game. Joe, Troy, Pam?
All right, Kurt, thank you. 2nd and 10. We saw Sean Payton get injured in Tampa earlier this season. In October, hit along the sideline. Vick, end zone, Selleck for the touchdown. And in a blink, the Eagles go down the field and lead here in Texas.
Well, Brent Selleck, he gets off the ball, and that's the guy you've got to look for. I mean, he's been one of Michael Vick's favorite targets. You're going to see him here, and then he just gets the ball right on him. You know, he's able to get right in the seam with nobody redirecting him whatsoever, and he fits the ball in there right in front of Gerald Sensabaugh and in for the touchdown. It's a little bit concerning right now, certainly for the Dallas Cowboys. Think back to the last time these two teams met. The Eagles took the kickoff and went right down the field just like what we just saw.
How about Selleck and the role he's on? 7-0 coming off a 156-yard game against the Jets. That was a career high, and now he's got his 4th touchdown of the season. We go back to week 8. You referenced it, and it was all Philadelphia in that game.
Well, in every phase, you know, I mean, the offense, they were able to just go up and down the field on this Cowboys defense, but the Cowboys also got stymied offensively. They didn't have the ball for that much in that ball game. But Brent Selleck, who is Michael Vick's favorite receiver. He leads the team in receiving. He's coming off the big game from last week. As you said, Joe, he was also the leading receiver the last time these two teams met, and yet they get down in there in the red zone, and nobody really even looks him up.
Selleck is going back to that form of 2009 when he looked like he was going to join the ranks of guys like the other tight end in this game, Jason Witten, is a big-time, big-game receiver. Then he was backed up and banged up last year. But now as a threat down the middle of the field, Brent Selleck is red hot. He's got Sensabaugh and Walker talking to each other about what just happened there in the secondary. Rob Ryan's flipping his hair back, wondering how he can slow down the Eagles. Wayne Harris on the return from a yard deep in the end zone. Nice return. Out across the 30 and out of bounds at the 34. And with that, we'll take a look at the lineups. Tony Romo has thrown just 2 interceptions since that Philadelphia game. Both came against Miami on Thanksgiving, and he has not thrown a pick, Troy, in the month of December.
No, we talked about it coming into this game. He's playing really as well as any quarterback in football. I think really underneath the radar because of the play of Aaron Rodgers and then, of course, Drew Brees. But he has been exceptional.
While you watch the first carry of the day for Felix Jones, who's playing with a bad hamstring. He's got 10. Meanwhile, the Jets get the ball back, and they have a first down at their own 8 with 2.5 to play. As you watch a 10-yard run by Felix Jones, there was a question, Troy, for a guy who hasn't practiced all week, whether he would even be active in this game.
Yeah, and of course, in between the tackles right there, that's got to be a positive sign there for the Dallas Cowboys. Won't really know how that hamstring is until he gets out in the open fields and try to open it up a little bit.
Here he is again, and that catch was never made. He was absolutely popped by Nate Allen. And so no catch. It's 2nd and 10, and we look at this defense, and they roll a lot of guys in up front, stay fresh, and they get after the quarterback better than any team defensively in the NFL.
Yeah, and what's a little different for the Eagles as far as how they're getting after the quarterback, and remember, the late Jim Johnson, all the different things he used to do, the different blitzes, secondary players, linebackers, most of those sacks this year are coming from that defensive front.
Here's Felix Jones on 2nd and 10, a nice run to midfield. Let's go for a game break. Kurt Menefee is busy. Kurt.
Yeah, here's the Giants defense. They're pretty busy right now. Chris Canty gets Mark Sanchez. They say he's down in the end zone. That means a safety. 2 points for the Giants. 22-14. They have an 8-point lead approaching the 2-minute warning. Obviously about to get the ball back as well. Joe, Troy, and Pam.
Yeah, so they get the ball back. The Jets are down to 1 timeout, and it's looking more and more like Week 17 will be a matchup at the Meadowlands with the Dallas Cowboys and the Giants for the NFC East. 3rd down and 4. Romo, that one got away. Looking for Miles Austin, and Romo ends up on his back, and there's Babbitt, who is the top pass rusher, sack man in the NFL right now.
Yeah, you're going to see he's going to come around, and they run a twist of their own, and he gets right up in the face of Tony Romo. He just had no chance, knowing that he had to unload it. And, you know, in talking with Romo the other day, he said pass protection has either been really good or it's been really bad. And sometimes he's been able to navigate those free rushers and make some big plays. Not so much on that one.
McBriar punts it. End over end. Jackson will let it go over his head and into the end zone. It is a 50-yard punt, nothing on the return, but only 30 net yards. And Michael Vick, who started hot, 4 of 6, and hit 4 different receivers on that opening possession, goes back to the huddle.
Yeah, I mean, right now, this is looking a lot like the first matchup between these two teams. The way that the Eagles were able to go right down the field, come away with the touchdown. The Cowboys then get the ball, only run 4 plays. And now the Eagles get a chance to get it back again. This is an important series for it being this early in the game for this Dallas Cowboys defense.
Vick has has plenty of time and finds Jackson. Deshaun Jackson with a first down at his own 39. They've been looking for big plays to this guy. 19 yards to number 10.
Well, Deshaun Jackson, along with Jeremy Maclin, they're just so fast that they really put the fear in these defensive backs. And so because of that speed, it opens up a lot of space underneath. You saw all the room right there that Deshaun Jackson had to operate. Even with a ball that wasn't a great thrown ball, he's able to make a play on it uncontested.
This may be all for naught for the Eagles with what's going on in the Meadowlands right now. First down. Vick right through the hands of LaShawn McCoy. Here he is again. Kurt Menefee.
I'm working for you. After that safety, the Jets tried an onside punt. It didn't work. Giants took it over the 19. First play from scrimmage. Ahmad Bradshaw pretty much put this one away. His second touchdown. They're up 29-14. 2 minutes left. Of course, Joe, Troy, and Pam, a Giants victory means that the season's over for the Eagles.
And it can change the way the Cowboys and Jason Garrett, their head coach, plays the rest of this game with a couple of his banged-up players. 2nd and 10. McCoy hesitated, heads up field, and on 2nd down he picks up 5. If that's the case, you look back at the Eagles, a team everybody picked to win the NFC East coming into this season. A 1-4 start. They couldn't really recover from that defensively. They were confused a lot of the early part of the season. Overall, what do you think went wrong with this Eagles team?
Well, it was real simple. It was just turnovers. You know, I mean, defense, they got a lot of criticism because of some of the points that they gave up. I think Andy Reid would be the first to tell you that the offense didn't help them out. They gave up a lot of leads in the fourth quarter, a lot of turnovers that put the defense in a tough position. But when they don't turn the ball over, I mean, they're as good as anybody in football.
There's no doubt about that. On 3rd down, this one too high for Deshaun Jackson. It's 4th down. That one got away from Vick, and just to back it up with stats, 35 giveaways, the most in the NFL. Heck, they had 4 last week in a win over the Jets. The Eagles are -12 in the turnover ratio. That's 2nd worst in the NFL. 2-5 at home. And they've tied the Cowboys by losing 5 games after leading in the 4th quarter. That's an NFL record, and just heartbreak for a team with such high hopes and so much talent coming in. This one off the foot of Henry goes into the end zone. Meanwhile, Tony Romo, we understand, is in the locker room for the Dallas Cowboys as McGee will check in. They're looking at the right hand of Tony Romo after this hit when he was crunched by Babin.
Yeah, you see as Tony Romo follows through with his right hand, then he's got his hand up against him, and that's where the helmet comes in on Babin. You know, as Jason Garrett tries to give Stephen McGee a little bit of encouragement, but I said it coming in. Jerry Jones knows that over the last 6-7 games, his quarterback, Tony Romo, has been playing as well as anybody in football. You want to ride a hot hand into the postseason. They got to get in, first of all, but now you wonder, okay, well, how severe is this injury that's being checked on with Tony Romo?
Yeah, and their veteran backup is John Kidna. He's on IR. Handoff is to Jones, and we may not see much more of Felix Jones in the rest of this game if the Giants end up winning over the Jets, and that appears to be about to happen. Felix Jones comes out. Let's take another look. I said Babin, and it was Babin coming right up the middle with that hit. And that's why they're looking at the right hand of Romo.
That offensive line, they've got to be able to pass that off between Phil Costa and Kyle Kozar at right guard, and they failed to do that, and that's what allowed the big hit on Romo.
Now it's Sammy Morris, who's an interesting story, getting the carry, picking up 3 yards. I mean, this guy was out of the game and almost semi-retirement. He was signed just 9 days ago, and we'll see a lot of him today.
Well, the last time I saw him was in Foxborough, Massachusetts. He was handing me his business card at Luciano's when we were having dinner with the crew on a Friday night. Out of football, still living there, his family there, his young kids going to school. And Jason Garrett was a teammate of his at Miami, also on the coaching staff when Sammy Morris with the Dolphins brought him in last week.
Here is Morris again over the right side, and that's You know, I don't know about you, and we haven't talked much about it. To me, DeMarco Murray, who broke his ankle a couple of weeks ago in the Giants game, he looked like the best back the Dallas Cowboys have. He ran harder than Felix Jones, and he was pounding the ball for the Cowboys. They lose him. Jones has got a bad hamstring. Now we're seeing Morris, and they will save Felix Jones for that big matchup against the Giants.
Yeah, I think they'll be saving Tony Romo as well, provided that he's capable of coming back. I think this will be Stephen McGee's ball game the rest of the way.
McGee's in trouble. This is Bennett. And Martellus Bennett is tripped up by Asamoah, a gain of 4.
You know, I think the risk you run, I mean, it looks like the Giants are going to go on and win. Now, there's some talk that the Cowboys could win today, lose next week, and still potentially, with a slight chance, get in as a wild card team. But I think the Cowboys would then look at this game, all right, let's rest the players like you said, Joe. Lay it on the line next week against the Giants. Winner wins the division, goes on to the playoffs. But you know, this team played well last week against Tampa, but for the month of December has not. I think you've got to guard a little bit against just throwing away this game, not playing well, and then expecting to put it together next week against the Giants.
It's 3rd down and 5. McGee out of A&M hits Dez Bryant. They're going to say Bryant was down on that initial tackle. It's a 1st down, and McGee, who is throwing his first passes of the season, completes it for 11 yards.
Well, if you're going to get into a ball game, Dez Bryant's a pretty good guy to deliver the ball to. He's able to get inside on the slant route, a big target, certainly physical off the line of scrimmage in order to be able to get inside. And just a nice job of execution in the throw by Stephen McGee. Already the Eagles have gotten some hits both on Tony Romo and McGee.
Under 5 to go, opening quarter. And McGee, who at times, Andre Holland flinched. McGee, who at times in the preseason has looked very good, will get an opportunity against a defense that's been flying.
Number 64 offense, 5-yard penalty, still 1st down.
Well, his only start came against these Philadelphia Eagles. So if you're going to get back into a ball game and play, at least it's a team, even though they're a little bit different, some personnel. Of course, Juan Castillo is the defensive coordinator, but the concepts are basically the same, that he's got some familiarity with them.
Meanwhile, Felix Jones is in the game at tailback, despite the fact the Giants are going to win that game. About half a minute to go in that one as Felix Jones gets it and goes backward. Back to the line of scrimmage, maybe. 2nd down and 15. The Cowboys do have a player they just brought up from the practice squad, Chauncey Washington out of USC, that was signed to the practice squad at the end of November. But if Jones was that big of a question coming in, with this game for the Cowboys not meaning much, I'm surprised he's still in the ball game. 2nd and 15. McGee, Fiametta, the fullback, off his hands. Let's go for a game break. Here's Kurt.
Well, this was officially over in New York. It basically ends like this. Sanchez picked off. Nice pick by Corey Webster. That'll do it. 29-14. Giants just took a knee, so it's a final. They get the win, go to 8-7. Next week, they will take on the Cowboys for the NFC East Championship. Joe, Troy, Pam?
4 down.
All right, and Rex Ryan is left to answer questions with all the bluster during the week, and his team, in what was a home game, gets throttled in the second half by the Giants.
Yeah, and I actually saw Tom Coughlin walking on the field after that game, so the knee injury obviously not as severe as what Sean Payton was.
Here is Witten. He makes the catch, but he is well short of a 1st down, a gain of 6. It's 4th down. Tackle made by Clayton and Asamoah.
When you talk about the running backs for the Dallas Cowboys and what DeMarco Murray meant to this team, I mean, had he have stayed healthy, he would have very likely easily have broken 1,000 yards rushing, yet he was discovered relatively late. It was a little bit earlier in the season against the New England Patriots. He came in and got some playing time in that loss, but they liked what they saw, and the very next week he went for over 200 yards, and they found him something. And they didn't really know what to expect out of him because he missed most of training camp.
McBriar hits it high. Chad Hall with a fair catch inside the 10. As you look at the season in review for Philadelphia, it was an opening week win in St. Louis, but then 3-8 over the next 11 games. They've won their last 2, and they've done it with smothering defense. They lead the league in sacks. They have 13 over the past 2 games. Babin could set an Eagles franchise record, maybe even an NFL record. He's going to have a big day today and next week. However, it has led to a 6-8 record and now eliminated from playoff contention. This is McCoy. LaShawn McCoy over the left side gets 4. 2.5 to go in this first quarter. It's 2nd down and 6 for the Eagles, who offensively have averaged just over 400 yards per game.
Yeah, and that's really saying something. I mean, this 400 yards is a lot of yards in this league.
As we welcome in a new audience who knew what this game would be played for at the start of the day, we now know. Eagles scored on their first possession, looked good in doing it, and this one's nearly picked by Newman. If you're just joining us while the Giants were taking apart the Jets in the second half, in the Meadowlands, Vick with a touchdown throw to Selleck, and then Tony Romo got crunched by Jason Babin, and they're looking at the right hand, throwing hand of Tony Romo in the locker room.
Well, you think of the irony. I mean, if the Giants, if they had known the Giants were, won the game, then Tony Romo likely would have been limited throughout this ball game, and he takes that hit on the very first possession for the Cowboys.
It's 3rd down and 6. This one to Jackson, and a first down for the Eagles. Deshaun Jackson, who has a couple of catches, that one good for 12.
I think this is a little bit like what defensive coordinator Rob Ryan was talking about when it comes to Terrence Newman, that he just wants to see him challenge the receivers a little bit more. When you're playing that soft, of course, you're always fearful of a guy like Deshaun Jackson running by you. But Terrence Newman has enough talent to challenge receivers more than he does most of the time.
The question really becomes, going into week 17 as we watch this game here today, how good is this Dallas defense really? As Vick stays up, but now they're going to say a sack as he was in the grasp for long enough. See, he was down at the bottom of that pile, a loss of 7 on the sack. I believe it was DeMarcus Ware.
Yeah, DeMarcus Ware comes off the edge, and you're going to see LaShawn McCoy. He tries to cut him and go down low, but DeMarcus is able to keep his feet and then get a hold of Michael Vick's leg and just hold on. DeMarcus Ware has had himself a nice year also. Of course, as you said, Jason Babin with the sacks that he has leading the league. DeMarcus Ware right on his heels.
Yeah, right now just one behind him. That's number 17. Timeout with the play clock winding down. 40 seconds left in the opening quarter. Good to see Tony Romo back out from the locker room, talking to Wade Wilson as we take a break here in Texas.
Box is sponsored by Southwest Airlines. Find our fares online only at southwest.com.
It's unnecessary to come back into this game. You'll probably see Jerry Jones down there before long. You act like you know something about
Jones and quarterbacks. Here's a handoff on 2nd down and 17 to McCoy, good for 6, and here's a better shot. Watch the back of the throwing hand right into the helmet of Jason Babin.
Yeah, pretty dangerous. I mean, a lot of times you'll hit a helmet on a thumb on a helmet and risk breaking that, but the way that Tony Romo was able to come over to the sidelines, and he was talking about coming back into the game and playing. I think they got word on the sidelines that the Giants won the game. Wade Wilson, the quarterback coach, and then the trainers were over there talking to Tony Romo. It looked to me like they were saying, hey, we don't need you in this one.
3rd down and 11, last play of the quarter. Vick keeping it alive. And on 3rd down and 11, he is ruled out of bounds, short of first down yardage, pushed out by Skandrick. A run of 10 yards came close. Second quarter when we come back after this from your local Fox station. Eagles, with a big story right now is the back of the right hand of Tony Romo. The hand is wrapped, and when we get a chance we'll show you just how swollen the back of his right hand is. The hit in that opening possession, with their season basically riding on their game next week at the Giants. Henry to punt. Des Bryant with a fair catch. If you can see it, look at the back of the right hand and the swelling for Tony Romo. It is taped up. He's finished for the day. Cowboys with the ball down 7.
Today's game on Fox is sponsored by Triple Hops Brewed Miller Lite. Taste greatness. By Verizon, your holiday smartphone destination. And by Chevrolet and their award-winning cars, trucks, and crossovers.
Cowboys will start with it at their 20. Stephen McGee is in at quarterback. They mark the ball at the 21 and a fair catch by Des Bryant. Fake toss to Morris, and McGee moving out to his right finds Des Bryant for a first down.
It's a nice job by Stephen McGee. He's able to get outside, but he lays the ball in there nicely to Des Bryant. This is a young quarterback that they like a lot. You know, I mean, with the injury last year to Tony Romo, and then John Kitna stepped in and did a nice job. But Stephen McGee, as I said, he got a start against the Eagles. He came off the bench against Arizona. And overall, he did a lot of nice things.
On first down, handoff is to Morris. He's been impressive in 2 games. Good for 9. Let's go down to the field and Pam Oliver.
Joe, the early word on Tony Romo, it's fairly good. Romo has a hand contusion. X-rays on the right throwing hand were negative. That hand is very swollen, and now it is wrapped up. Back to you.
Yeah, and you know, while you look at Romo, who is out for the rest of the day, a little shake of the head, and everybody that's been by him is asking him how he's feeling. With good reason. They've got the big game next week. I mean, watch Stephen McGee. Who knows what could be on him going into that game at the Giants next week. It's not a sure bet that Tony Romo comes back from banging his right hand on the helmet of Babbitt.
Well, a couple of things here. I think for Cowboy fans, they've got to be optimistic. One, because he came back out of the locker room. Of course, they do the X-rays. Nothing is broken. It looked like Tony Romo was prepared to come back into the game and play. And so that's good. I think it's a result of this game being relatively meaningless to the Cowboys that the decision was made, rightfully so. Hey, just go ahead and sit this one out. But the fact that he was back on the sideline preparing to play, I think is a positive sign.
Chauncey Washington starting that play in the backfield. Here's McGee, who shows what he can do running with the football, and he picks up 4 over the right side. Pretty mobile guy, and he's not small, 6'3", 225.
Yeah, he's a very athletic quarterback, and he's showing some of that now in his ability to get outside the pocket and both run the ball, as he does here, and then also make some of the throws that we've seen.
McGee is a third-year pro out of Texas A&M, 4th-round pick in 09. The rest of this game is in his hands. 2nd down and 6. Blitz, handoff, Washington lost a yard. Patterson came in and made the tackle.
And Mike Patterson just does a nice job of getting penetration right in the backfield. Chauncey Washington has no opportunity whatsoever. We talked a little bit about this defensive front and the job they've done rushing the passer. Of course, they've had to learn some different principles under new defensive line coach Jim Washburn, and then of course Juan Castillo.
It's going to be interesting to see what happens on this coaching staff going forward for the Eagles. It's 3rd down and 7. Blitz. Matthews can't get to McGee until now, and the pass caught by Austin. And Miles Austin has a first down inside the 35 to the 32. And a good play by Stephen McGee.
A really nice job by Stephen McGee keeping the play alive. He's getting close to the sidelines. He pulls up, but Miles Austin does an excellent job of giving his quarterback a place to go with the ball. This is all ad lib. He's just running the flat route. He sees quarterback in trouble, starts up the sideline, works back inside towards the numbers. Pretty good improvisation right there by Stephen McGee and Miles Austin.
19-yard completion. Gonna have to whack you in the back. On first down, Bryant broken up, and what a good play made by Dominique Rodgers-Cromartie, who gets the start in place of the injured and inactive
number 77
Samuel.
offense. 10-yard penalty. Repeat first down.
They get the rookie Tyron Smith on a hold on that deep throw to Des Bryant.
The ball that just held up on Stephen McGee. He was unable to drive the ball down the field. But there's Tyron Smith, the rookie, and he's had himself really a heck of a first year. He got called for some penalties early in the season. He's done a much better job here over the second half of the year. Just turned 21 years old 12 days ago. The youngest rookie in the NFL coming into the draft at 20 years old.
That was Philip Hunt who was putting the pressure on McGee. It forced the hold. Hunt has a sack in each of the last two games. Was inactive for 7 straight. Earlier this year, Morris gets dumped. Play is made by the safety Nate Allen, and nothing on the play yardage-wise. It'll bring up second down and 20.
Yeah, Philip Hunt able to get to Stephen McGee at the last minute and force him to get the ball underneath. He was wanting to try to take a shot down the field. This Eagles defense has continued to do in this game what they've done all season long, and that's get after the quarterback.
46 sacks to lead the NFL. But only 1 from their secondary. Trying to set up a screen, and it was caught by Sammy Morris, but because he caught it, it's a loss of 5 as the rookie linebacker Brian Roll got in there to make the stop.
Now just read the entire way, and you know, this Eagles defense, particularly the front 7, it's not a big group. I mean, it's an undersized front. It's an undersized group at the linebacker level, but they can really run. And that's been the consistent theme about this defense, you know, really for many, many years. Never been overly big, but really, really fast.
Third down and 25. 4-man rush. And McGee steps out of it, and like Romo, flips it almost backhanded to Sammy Morris for 6 yards as Stephen McGee. He's been watching Romo for a while now.
You see Jason Babin coming off the edge, a guy who's had 3 sacks in each of the last 2 games, as you said, you know, trying for that single season sack record held by our own Michael Strahan, and he's determined to try to get a few more of those here this afternoon. But a good job by Stephen McGee avoiding the sack and at least getting the ball out of his hands.
Chad Hall waits for the punt from McBriar. Balls for a fair catch at the 10. That's where the Eagles will have it. On this Christmas Eve from Arlington, Texas, there's a penalty flag down on the field inside the 40. Get the call, and then we'll go to break.
During the kick, holding, number 57 receiving team. Half the distance to the goal from the end of the kick. First down, timeout.
That'll take it back to the 5. That's where the Eagles will have it. Up by 7 over Dallas.
Defense, make them think you crazy. Be together, baby. 1, 2, 3.
Michael Vick, who missed 3 games with a rib injury, knocked the rust off 2 weeks ago in Miami. Got hotter last week against the Jets. Now has a touchdown pass here today, leading the Cowboys 7-zip. Handoff is to McCoy. He runs into Spears. A gain of 4.
You know, Joe, you talk about the Eagles and the struggles that they had this season, and you know, all the teams had to deal with the fact there was no offseason, so that's not a very good excuse. But it is a team, as we know, that brought in a lot of key free agent acquisitions and then revamped the staff in a lot of ways. A new offensive line coach, of course, new defensive coordinator, new defensive line coach. I think as much as anything, I'm not so sure this staff ever really came together. I would expect there to be some changes with that coaching staff at the end of this year.
2nd down and 6. Ware can't get home, and the pass is caught. And that's the brilliance of Michael Vick. Just with a flick of the wrist finds Macklin for 20 yards. And now Macklin can't get up, and Vick is limping away from the play.
Yeah, you see initially DeMarcus Ware was anticipating the ball to be handed off, and then Michael Vick is able to avoid him, step up in the pocket, and deliver a nice throw. And Macklin, he's off the turf now, but then Michael Vick, he comes up a little bit slow as well.
It was Clifton Gathers who they were looking at on the Cowboys side. He's back in the end zone and getting attention from the medical staff. We'll take a break and come back. 1st down for the Eagles when we return.
Crossovers.
Gathers is able to get up and now get off the field. He banged into, let's see who that is, McCoy, who's back there blocking for Vick. And Gathers initially tried to get off the field, then went down. They looked at him. He's up and on the sideline. The completion to Macklin. He was slow to get up. He's back on the field as a handoff is to Deshaun Jackson. Deshaun Jackson on 1st down gets 18 yards over the right side. That is his longest run of the year.
Well, anytime you get the ball in the hands of Deshaun Jackson, that's a good thing. But when you've got the kind of speed in the backfield, it causes that defense to overflow one way, and then you're able to get everybody redirecting back, and Deshaun Jackson gets a nice game.
Dion Lewis, a rookie out of Pittsburgh, who offensive coordinator Marty Mornhinweg said it's been a failure of mine to not get him more involved is into the game. And now they try Deshaun Jackson coming around the other way. And he hops out of bounds with another big run. They're going to mark him a yard shy of a 1st down. Here's a game break. Here's Kurt.
And right now it's a big lead for the Detroit Lions at home taking on San Diego. Matthew Stafford, 3-yard score to Kevin Smith. It's 17-0 in the 2nd quarter. Joe, Troy, and Cam, a victory by the Lions, and they will clinch their first playoff berth since 1999.
All right, Kurt, thanks. So we'll keep an eye on that. They lead over San Diego. Oakland is 1 in the AFC West. Denver was losing big. Here's McCoy bouncing it out for a 1st down. More 1st downs than any other player in the NFL this season. Denver Broncos lost at Buffalo on a cold day in the Northeast earlier this afternoon.
Well, you can see LaShawn McCoy. I mean, this guy is a special player, and even when there's guys in the hole capable of making a play, you know, they're just unable to do it. You can see he starts Anthony Spencer to the outside. He cuts, gets inside of him. The ball right there, he had his first fumble last week. First one of the season. He's not a big fumbler, and it's a little surprising because he does tend to get a little bit loose with the ball, but for the most part, he protects it pretty good right before impact.
Only lost 3 in his career, including the one last week. Nice play by Spencer. And a loss by McCoy of 3 yards. Friday, January 6th. One of the most anticipated bowl games of the season as 8th-ranked Kansas State takes on 6th-ranked Arkansas. And it's the only Big 12 SEC showdown. Our exclusive coverage of the 76th Cotton Bowl Classic live from right here begins at 8 Eastern, 5 Pacific on January 6th in high def on Fox.
And having played in the Cotton Bowl myself my last season there at UCLA, they do a great job.
2nd down and 13. fake the handoff. Vick with no pressure, and he finds Macklin for a first down and then a late hit.
Yeah, I agree with that. I mean, he was down. All you have to do is come over and touch him. I mean, that's what the rule is. I mean, a defenseless receiver, and yet at the last minute you got Anthony Spencer coming in and pile driving him while he's on the ground.
Personal foul, unnecessary roughness, number 93 of the defense, driving his helmet into a player on the ground. Half the distance to the goal, first down.
I'm going to say again, and this is a weird day. It's hard to evaluate anything you're seeing from the Cowboys side with really not much to play for. There is a roundabout way they could get into the playoffs as a wild card at 9-7. They're looking at Macklin. They're looking at one of the offensive linemen, Evan Mathis. But the question is, how good is this Cowboys defense? We'll talk about that when we come back. Timeout on the field. Jeremy Macklin got hit at the end of that play by Anthony Spencer. Now they're looking at his rib cage area over on the sideline. It's first and goal with a penalty on Spencer. The Eagles already leading 7-0, and they've knocked Tony Romo out of the game. Marcus Ware's been playing for 3 weeks with a stinger in his neck. He's still in the ball game. That is a touchdown, Jason Avant. Touchdown for Avant. That's his second of the season, and he had to reach to get it.
Well, Jason Avant runs a great route on this play, and as you see at the end of it, he's trying to extend it, and it looked like the ball came out, Joe, to me before he crossed the goal line.
For now, it's a touchdown, but it's a scoring review. So the scoring play, they'll look at it. It's not a touchdown if he has it till he gets to that pylon, and I'm agreeing with you. That ball was out of his possession before he got there. But again, there's no challenge. They don't have to. They review all scoring plays.
The previous play is under review.
And they're going to take a look at it under the hood. So no confirmation of a touchdown. We'll take looks at it during the break. We'll have the call from referee Bill Levy when we come back. Be interesting. Here's Bill Levy with the ruling.
After reviewing the play, number 81 lost the football prior to crossing the goal line. The ball crossed over the pylon. It is a touchback. Dallas ball, first down.
Yeah, that's the interesting part, is not only is there no touchdown, but now Dallas gets the ball. When we talked to Mike Pereira during the break, he said a loose ball touching the pylon, that's a touchback, and Dallas takes over down 7.
It was almost as if Jason Avant thought that he could extend it and it would be ruled a touchdown prior to losing complete control, because, obviously Orlando Scandrick, didn't have anything to do with the ball coming out of his hands. It was just while he was extending it, thinking that he could get it out there enough to cross the goal line. Instead, a big break for the Dallas Cowboys, getting the ball here on the 20.
We can get into it more later, but we were talking about the Dallas defense. Blown 3 fourth-quarter leads of 12 points or more this year. The Cowboys have. Coming into this season, this franchise had only done that 2 times in their entire history. Because of those losses, it appears they're going to have to go on the road, and they will, barring some situation where they could be a wild card team. But if they want to win this division, because of those heartbreaking fourth quarter losses, and any Dallas Cowboy fan can name them, they're going to have to go on the road at the Giants with a banged up Tony Romo to get a win on the road to win the NFC East. 2nd down and 1 for the Cowboys. Here's more from Morris. They like him, and they've needed him. You go back to the field goal mishaps in basically back-to-back weeks and back-to-back situations. The timeout, icing his own kicker. Then the next week, was Tom Coughlin doing the trick with a well-timed timeout. Kick is made, doesn't count, then the block by Jason Pierre-Paul. And so both times they had a field goal made, one to win a game in Arizona, that one to tie it, and because of timeouts, the re-kicks, and the re-kicks were not good by the rookie Dan Bailey. On first down, McGee to the sideline, showing off his arm strength. Here's Des Bryant. Pass is incomplete. Asamoah on the coverage.
You know, Joe, I don't think there's any question that the Dallas Cowboys, as well as their fans, if they fail to win next week at New York, they're going to point to those games that we just showed and the various opportunities that they had this year to come away with some more victories that they didn't make. I think the same is going to be true for the New York Giants as well. You know, they've lost some games that they felt that they've given away, and so whichever team does not win this division next year next week in New York is going to look back on this season and look at all of the lost opportunities that they have.
Throw the Eagles onto that list with their 5 blown leads. Here's Bennett. Room to run, and Martellus Bennett has a Dallas first down. Take a look at the playoff picture in the NFC. Playing for home field advantage throughout will be the Green Bay Packers tomorrow night when they host the Chicago Bears. Trying to fend off the two teams behind them, and the number 2 seed and that first round bye is still up for grabs, with San Francisco playing right now against Seattle in New Orleans, and the red hot Drew Brees, who is about to take down the Dan Marino record, as Sammy Morris almost ran into his quarterback McGee. They're not going to throw a flag for that. Lost 4. And then you've got the NFC East winner. You've got the 2 wild cards, and that's shaping up with Atlanta and Detroit.
Yeah, no, I think if you look at the NFC, I mean, really all you have to do is look back to last year, because the Packers are playing so well that it's easy to say, okay, well, you know, how much damage are the Cowboys or the Giants going to do, or some of these other wild card teams? Well, Green Bay Packers were the 6th seed last year, and they ended up being world champions, and so you've just got to get in.
We're at the 2-minute warning of this first half. Dallas with the football. Second down when we come back. They're down 7. There's no telling what the other side of those signs says. Guarantee it's not "Have a Happy New Year."
You're a cynic.
Yeah, I've been around long enough now to know. Second down and 13. 2 minutes left for Stephen McGee. This one is out of the reach of Bennett. He was actually not turned around for the ball as Stephen McGee just got rid of it. Not since Troy Aikman and Jerry Maguire has there been worse acting than Montre Holland trying to draw a flag on Cullen Jenkins.
Oh, I think he was much better than I was.
Hey, Jerry.
Steve McGee, I tell you, he's been under pressure throughout this first half. He's either been running out of the pocket or he's been on his back just about every time he's thrown it.
Third down and 13. What a throw. And he hits Austin for a first down, inches inside the 40.
Yeah, it's really an excellent throw by Stephen McGee, and it's a throw that receivers like because he lays it out towards the sideline, but you see that it's a ball that makes Miles Austin work back to the throw. And because of that, he's able to protect himself, make the catch before he goes out of bounds.
Tony Romo, if you're just joining us, and that catch was good for 17 yards to go along with a 19-yarder for Austin today. Romo hit his throwing hand on the helmet of Jason Babin in the first series. That hand very swollen, now wrapped up. And McGee can run. He's shown that already. Again, here's a look at the Tony Romo hit. And the follow-through, which is the worst nightmare for guys who do what you did in the NFL.
Well, I guarantee you when that happened, and they see that he banged his hand there on a helmet. When they went in there for those x-rays, everybody was holding their breath. And as I said, fortunately for them, it looked like he was going to come back into this ball game, because as good as Stephen McGee has looked in this first half, they're not going anywhere without Tony Romo.
2nd down and 3, and now timeout was called by Philadelphia defensively with 1:40.
Timeout.
Left in the half. 2nd down for McGee and the Cowboys when we come back on Christmas Eve. Holland, has there been 2nd down and 3? What'd you think of this? This guy's been surprising to be his age. He's 34. To sit around for as long as he sat around after getting cut by New England in a training camp. And you talk about walking into a golden opportunity with a team maybe headed to the playoffs. That's what Sammy Morris has been able to do.
Yeah, there was obviously some familiarity between he and Jason Garrett. That certainly helped. But even with that, you don't know really what you're going to get. He says he's been keeping himself in good shape, but keeping yourself in shape and then playing in an NFL football game are two entirely different things. And he gave him a little something last week, and here he's getting more opportunities in this game. It looks good.
Here is a toss to Sammy Morris, and with a penalty flag thrown on 3rd down and 1. You question the play call, a loss of 9 on what is the 10th play of the drive.
You're anticipating those defensive ends to crash inside and
shift. Offense never came set for a full second. The penalties declined. 4th down.
It brings up 4th down, and now the Cowboys are in that in-between land where they're out of field goal range, and they're going to bring in McBriar. Also an opportunity if they wanted to go for it, but down 7-0 with 1:03 left. They're going to punt it back to the Eagles.
Yeah, that was costly.
So McBriar will punt it for the 4th time. That's what they were surprised about Morris, to come off the couch and be as game ready and be able to take the hits that he was taking last week. Here's a fair catch hauled in by Chad Hall. So the Eagles have it under a minute to play, first half, after that 27-yard punt, up by 7.
Today's game on Fox is sponsored by Bud Light, the official beer sponsor of the NFL. Here we go.
Coming up on the Visa Halftime Report, we have scores and highlights from a busy Christmas Eve in the NFL, including the Giants winning the Battle of New York, the Steelers having no problem with no Big Ben, and a Cincinnati touchdown that might be the play of the year. That's all on the Visa Halftime.
I know you well enough to know that if they handed you the elf hat, you would hand it off to somebody else.
Howie's the biggest elf I've ever seen.
Go ahead, state the obvious. We both thought that should have been on Glazer.
Oh, I didn't think so.
No, okay. Thanks.
Glazer's tougher than I am.
There's no doubt.
Hey, yours.
Macklin back in the game. That's good news for the Eagles. They were checking on his ribs a moment ago. No pass rush, and there he is. Macklin on the catch out to the 35-yard line. And a good start to this drive with 3 timeouts. Now the Eagles will use 1, make it 2. And they will take their final timeout here. So Jenkins made the tackle, and I mean Vic had all day as we watched Deshaun Jackson.
Yeah, you're going to see Deshaun Jackson go right down the middle, and this is who they're trying to get the ball to down the field. And as you said, Michael Vick had 6, 7, 8 seconds back there in the pocket, and he sat there and waited to see if maybe Deshaun Jackson would be able to come free, and then he comes underneath to Macklin, and that was the fear that Rob Ryan had, knowing that if we're not able to get to Michael Vick, we're going to have some problems. They didn't get the big play down the field, but a pretty easy completion.
That was a 22-yard completion. And I was looking at the wrong Christmas lights. So out of timeouts are the Eagles, up by 7, 44 seconds left in the first half. Vick with all day again. Deep down the field for Jackson. And there is no pressure on Michael Vick. That one good for 34.
We saw the deep crossing route by Deshaun Jackson on the previous play. Again, a lot of time they start on that same deep crossing route. They call this the angle route. Get Terrence Newman overplaying it, and then they come back out towards the sideline. It's very difficult to play both of those routes, because if you go over the top to handle the deep crosser, then you've got the sideline route wide open. The only way you can defense it is, again, by pressure and not allowing Michael Vick that kind of time.
It's been a nice first half for Jackson. First down for the Eagles, and he got out of bounds. 36 seconds left. Good pocket for Vick. Underneath, it's Avant. Changes direction, and he's down to the 7. And the clock will continue to wind. 25 yards for this Eagles team, which offensively has had its way here in the first half. They're going to throw a flag, look like an illegal formation.
Go back to that previous play to Jason Avant. He runs the shallow crossing route. Orlando Scandrick is picking him up, and he just overplays it.
There is no foul on the play.
Gets the extra
Second
yards.
down.
But, for a defense that came in determined to show that the last time these two teams met, was a fluke and would not happen again. Here you've got the Eagles with over 270 yards of offense in the first half of football.
Remember the last time they had it, they were down knocking on the door, and Avant fumbled into the end zone, into the pylon for a touchback. 18 seconds left. They pick up the flag. Second and goal. Vick stays on his feet and gets rid of it. In the clutches of DeMarcus Ware, and the strength of Vick kept him upright. It's third and goal.
Yeah, that's exactly what it was, Joe. I mean, the strength of Michael Vick, because DeMarcus Ware is a big, strong guy, and for him to be able to get away from him, you're going to see DeMarcus Ware here. He starts underneath, and that initially then looked like Michael Vick may be able to get out on the edge, but he's able to hold Ware off and at least get the ball out.
Now third down and goal. Over the middle, touchdown in the back of the end zone, Macklin. And another good drive put together by this Philadelphia Eagles offense, a 5-yard touchdown, 5th of the year for Jeremy Macklin.
Well, I don't know what Michael Jenkins is doing here. If he thinks that he's going to get some help on the inside by Newman, Newman's playing it shallow, and so he's got the whole back line to work. And it's just easy pitch and catch right there, and that's what happens when you have time to throw the football. And to go back to, if the Cowboys are able to get into the postseason, you think of the offenses that are in the tournament, Green Bay Packers, New Orleans Saints, they're going to have a field day against this defense if they don't get a whole lot better than what we've seen.
Macklin, 5 catches, 72 yards, and now a touchdown here in this first half. And on a day when twin brother Rex Ryan and the Jets lost a game in the Meadowlands to the Giants, Rob Ryan's defense is getting picked apart again by the Philadelphia Eagles for the second time this season.
Yeah, you asked the question a little bit earlier, Joe, just how good is this defense, and not very good here today. But at other times we've seen them to where they've looked real good. But it's all predicated really on DeMarcus Ware and Jay Ratliff then in the middle. And when they're not providing the pressure on the quarterback, they've got some problems on that back end. The strength is the front 7, the defensive line, and along with those linebackers. But that secondary, they've had problems all year.
Rob Ryan is there in the picture explaining what's going on. He sat in our meeting room confident, and obviously Rob Ryan, he knows, going to sit down confident, but he said, it's on me. We were not as aggressive as we should have been. We were a little too intimidated by Vick. We played him differently. We're going to come get him. Vick has had forever to stand back there and pick apart this secondary.
Well, he has, and you can see the frustration there on Rob Ryan's face. And, you know, he's a guy who constantly defends his players and will take responsibility and accountability. At the end of the day, that's right. But, you know, this group, they've struggled with some of the concepts that he's put in. And you could tell that coverage was busted on that last play.
Here's Phillips on the return, and that will end the first half here in Texas. A 14-0 game that has been dominated by the Philadelphia Eagles and Michael Vick. Kurt Menefee is in Los Angeles. Visa halftime. He's coming up right now. 14-0 here.
Out of this stadium, but I think right now, even though this game meaningless for the Dallas Cowboys, I think what they've got to guard against is coming out of this game not having a whole lot of confidence. I mean, the way that defense played, it's hard to feel good about yourself if you're out there with your starters and not performing better than we saw there in that first half.
Saw the graphic. You can follow your favorite team all season long by going to itunes.com/NFL. That's not really Chris Collinsworth. He will be working with Al Michaels and Michelle Tafoya and the group from NBC tomorrow night on Christmas night with the Packers and the Bears. Here comes Stephen McGee, and I think what we've seen so far from Stephen McGee has not been overwhelmed. He's been under heavy pressure, something the Cowboys can't get defensively on Michael Vick, but he's shown what he can do with his legs, and he's shown that he's got a pretty big arm.
He's done a nice job, you know, for a guy who runs a scout team, doesn't get much work during the week, comes in off the bench and completed a lot of passes, high percentage of passes anyway, and didn't make any big mistakes.
Handoff is to Morris. And Sammy Morris bounces off a tackler and picks up 7, went right through Nate Allen. And this 12-year vet out of Texas Tech getting the handoff from the 3-year vet out of Texas A&M.
Well, this guy's going to help them next week, you know, as they go into that game against the Giants. They've got Felix Jones, but the question is you know, how many carries can he take? I mean, he's been banged up throughout his career, but what we've seen of Sammy Morris, he can take some of the pressure off him.
They handed to Fiametta, the fullback, who they're happy to have back. A real fullback type body, in the words of Jason Garrett, somebody they had their eye on. I thought it was interesting what Garrett told us. He said, we found out that if you want a fullback in the draft, you have to take them around earlier than you think, because there's so few real fullbacks available in April.
Well, they found that out here in Dallas, because every time they targeted a guy thinking they could pick him up in a particular round, he went a round earlier than they thought he might.
3rd down and 2. What a good play made on the edge by Cullen Jenkins. He saved a first down, and the former Packer made the stop. It's 3 and out.
Well, these Philadelphia Eagles, they're not giving up. That's an excellent job by Cullen Jenkins, coming off the block there by Tyron Smith and being able to make a play and keeping the Cowboys from picking up that first down.
Tyron Smith, who Jason Garrett told us has been the Cowboys' best offensive lineman, at least the most consistent, was beaten on that play by Jenkins. Here's Hall. On the return, a couple of nice moves. And Chad Hall is out across the 40. That's where the Eagles will start with it. They already lead by 14. 17-yard return by Hall.
Game on Fox is sponsored by Southwest Airlines. Find our fares online only at southwest.com. By Ram Trucks. Guts, Glory, Ram. By the Samsung Galaxy S2. The next big thing is already here. And by Bud Light, the official beer sponsor of the NFL. Here we go.
So far, the Eagles have about doubled the yardage of the Cowboys in this game. They start with it at their own 43, up 14-0. 3 and out for Dallas to start this second half, with Romo on the bench and a flea flicker. Now Vick takes off and will pick up a yard and try to get more. He was across the line of scrimmage when he threw that pass. Vick unaware of where the marker was in the original line of scrimmage, but he was clearly across the line when he threw it.
Well, it's understandable.
Illegal
He lost
forward
track.
pass. Number 7 offense. Threw the pass beyond the line of scrimmage. 5-yard penalty. Loss of down. 2nd down.
They try the toss back to Michael Vick and to take a shot deep down the field. The Cowboys played it beautifully, but that's when the play began essentially, because Michael Vick, when he starts to scramble, trying to contain him, and lost track of where he was, and he had an open guy had he been able to stay behind the line of scrimmage and put enough on it.
2nd down and 14 after the penalty.
Hey, head up, Kels.
Pressure off the edge. Newman. Vick just throws it away. He was outside the pocket. Selleck was close enough to it. No flag for grounding.
Yeah, they kind of say as long as it's in the vicinity of where the
Intentional grounding.
Yeah.
Number 7 offense was out of the pocket, but the ball did not get back to the line of scrimmage. Loss of down. 3rd down.
I understand the ball didn't get back to the line of scrimmage, but it was. Watch the Eagles. Yeah, it's not close enough to Selleck. I think that's a good call as they threw that flag late.
Yeah, I do too. You know, they've kind of changed exactly how they're making that ruling over the years. At one time it had to cross the line of scrimmage if you were outside the pocket. Then it had to be somewhere within the vicinity of the line of scrimmage. And as we heard the explanation there, it did not get to the line of scrimmage. No receiver in the area, and a good call.
Andy Reid immediately was pointing out Selleck, but he wasn't close enough to it. So now 3rd down and 31. This one's batted down. Ratliff right in the middle of that pile up of bodies, and big number 90 got his hand up. It's 4th down, and that was by far the best series of the day for the Dallas defense.
Well, I think that's going to be important here throughout this second half is, you know, how does the defense come together and finish off this game? Offensively, not as big a deal. Of course, Tony Romo not in the game, Stephen McGee, so there's a lot of things that I think are fine as it relates to the offense. Defense will be the key.
I'm sure they heard plenty from Rob Ryan during the halftime. They're going to throw a flag on the hit on Dwayne Harris. Curtis Marsh downfield put Harris right to the turf. They threw a flag immediately. And Bill Levy will give us the call.
Personal foul. Unnecessary roughness. Helmet-to-helmet hit on a defenseless receiver of a punt. 15-yard penalty from the spot of a foul. 1st down.
They get Marsh for the 15-yard penalty on this hit too high. Right there on Harris. Dallas has the ball down 14. After I'm sure hearing plenty from defensive coordinator Rob Ryan at the break, the defense comes out with a good series. Gives the Cowboys after the penalty and a hit by Marsh, their best starting field position of the day. Martellus Bennett left alone. And he's got a 1st down inside the 40. 14 yards from Stephen McGee.
Again, we're seeing some of these same types of plays from Stephen McGee. Martellus Bennett comes from the backside. He's able to find that void there in the zone that's created off the play action. Martellus Bennett, he's had an interesting career for a guy who came into the league, and a lot was really expected of him as a 2nd-round pick. A couple of years ago, the Cowboys could have traded him for pretty good value, but he'd had a nice training camp, and the sky was the limit for him, but it just never has come together.
Bennett was with McGee at Texas A&M as Sammy Morris is brought down at the line, and he's slow to get up. Morris is getting the bulk of the carries because of the hamstring injury to Felix Jones, and now Morris will limp off the field, bringing Chauncey Washington into the game.
Yeah, and as we said, I mean, they don't really know exactly what they have in Chauncey Washington, but they're going to get a couple of quarters here in this game to figure it out.
Played collegiately at USC. Been with the Jaguars and now getting a chance here in Week 16 with the Cowboys. On 2nd and 10. Pass is incomplete. Dangerous throw. With Dez Bryant, the intended receiver, and Nate Allen made the hit. It's Go back to the Sammy Morris carry, and he took a helmet from Akeem Jordan right to the left thigh.
You know, a lot of these receivers, you see the thigh pads that Sammy Morris has in. A lot of these receivers, they don't wear them at all. And it's amazing that you don't have more injuries with some of those players with the way they get hit after some of the catches.
It's 3rd down and 10. Blitz coming from the Eagles. McGee throws incomplete. Allen with a hit on Austin, no flag, and it's 4th down.
Well, Miles Austin, he knew that the safety was there, Nate Allen, and so he's just trying to hook it up. You're going to see at the top of this route, he's going to hook it up right there, and he wants the ball on him because he knows Nate Allen's coming from the inside. Same thing happened on the previous play. Both times, McGee expected the receiver to continue to run, but there were safeties in the middle of the field, and he didn't anticipate the receivers holding up.
It may be too late for the Eagles, but the defense of Juan Castillo, the former offensive line coach, first-year defensive coordinator, has been on the rise now 3 weeks in a row. This one is tapped down at the 9. That's where the Eagles will have it off the foot of McBriar. 14-0 Philly. Terry Bradshaw said it best on Fox NFL Sunday about those moments that you can find online of a mother or father who's been serving overseas in the armed forces coming home, surprising their kids this Christmas season, being back in the States. Here's McCoy, who gets out of the Scandrick tackle but ends up losing 4. Those are wonderful moments, to be sure. Let's go down to the field and check in with Pam Oliver.
Well, Joe, I asked Jason Garrett how long he'll continue to play his starters in this half. He really only focused on the guys on offense, the ones who are already out. Defensively, though, guys like Jay Ratliff with the ribs and DeMarcus Ware with the neck stinger problems, those guys will continue to play with no indication on when they'll come out.
All right, Pam, and that's been the subplot to this game from just about the beginning, when it was obvious that the Giants were going to win. The Eagles were eliminated, and next week that matchup between the Cowboys and the Giants at the Meadowlands will be for the NFC East. Here's McCoy for 1.
I think there's got to be a balance between, one, you want to protect some of these players that are banged up. Obviously, you can't rest everybody. Somebody's got to play. And then on the other hand, you want to be playing pretty good football. But I think you said it, Joe. I'd like to have heard what Rob Ryan had to say to this defense at halftime, because they played much better here in this 3rd quarter.
3rd down and 13. Vick over the middle, finds McCoy. And LaShawn McCoy is brought down short of 1st down yardage. Butler in on the stop, and a gain of 10 to bring up 4th down.
We talked about LaShawn McCoy a little bit, but it really is a shame that this team has not been better than they've been for his sake, because he's really had an exceptional season. And I think that if this Eagles team had been winning more games and had played to the level that everyone anticipated coming into the year, that he would be mentioned with some of the MVP candidates like Aaron Rodgers and Drew Brees.
It's hard to say a guy who's number 2 in the NFL in rushing is underrated. He is dynamic. It's a good punt by Henry, sending Dwayne Harris back, and he will be knocked down at the 24 by Brandon Hughes. Take a break, come back. Cowboys will have it down by 14. Earlier, something that I'm sure you were a part of when you played here with the Dallas Cowboys.
Yeah, all across the league, teams are making visits at this time of year to these children's hospitals. A lot of good work being done.
And a lot of faces lighting up. Your favorite players walk through the doors. McGee is taken over for Romo, and down he goes. Sacked, and it's Cole. Trent Cole gets his 10th of the year. A loss of 9.
Trent Cole, he's going to be working against Doug Free there along that offensive left side, and see, he's just able to use the speed to get around Doug Free. And we've talked a little bit about Tyron Smith and the year that he's had as a rookie, as you said earlier, Joe. Really their best offensive lineman, which is saying something for such a young player eventually, maybe as early as next year, he'll be their left tackle here in Dallas.
2nd down and 19. This is Austin. There's nowhere for him to go. And out on the edge, it is Ozaleo Hansen making the tackle, no gain. 3rd down and 19 coming up.
Well, you mentioned Juan Castillo and the job that this defense has done here in recent weeks, and another good performance, of course. Again, Tony Romo's not playing, but Juan Castillo's finally kind of gotten this defense playing the way that a lot of people expected when the season began. I anticipate that Andy Reid will be back as head coach, but as I said earlier, I do believe that there'll be some changes within that staff. Certainly Andy Reid did not touch on any of that, but looking at it, to me, it would seem that would occur, but I don't know that Juan will be one of them.
McGee going down the sideline for Robinson, and he is overthrown. So it's a quick 3 and out. Yeah, there were some people scratching their heads and wondering why Andy Reid made that move. First of all, to take Castillo off the offensive line, where he did a great job in putting that offensive line together for Andy Reid, who's been there since '99, and then to hand him the reins to the defense, all the while trying to fill the void left by the late great defensive coordinator Jim Johnson. But it's been getting much better as Paul hauls it in outside the 40, a 43-yard punt. And there is Jim Washburn, defensive line coach, with a hug for Trent Cole after that sack. Eagles have it at 14. 14-0 as the Eagles have it, the ball at their own 41. Under 7 to play here in quarter number 3. Fake the handoff. Vick backs up and hits Selleck on a tight end screen, and Brent Selleck stays on his feet, takes it down near the 20. He's already got a touchdown in this game, and now he's good for 39 yards.
On that play, it looked like Terrence Newman was on offense making a block for Brent Selleck instead of as a defensive back trying to make a play. You can see once Selleck gets the ball in his hands, you see the Terrence Newman, 41, has his back to the ball and never sees Brent Selleck run right by him.
Now from the 20. Play action. This is Hall, and he gets swallowed up by Lee. Let's go back to that previous completion to Selleck.
Yeah, here's Terrence Newman. It's Jeremy Maclin who, he's in coverage, and then Macklin's trying to make the block, but Newman never turns around and tries to locate exactly where the ball was. He's obviously confused on the play, but because he doesn't turn around, he then doesn't get a hit or anything on Selleck. And Newman, he's had a tough year. You talk about this defense and the inconsistency that they've shown. He's been right there with them.
2nd down and 12.
Purple Lake.
A lot of talking at the line, and it's McCoy going backward for 2. Spencer, the first guy there. Here's a game break. Here's Kurt.
Well, the San Francisco 49ers still have a shot at that number 2 seed, which they currently own right now. Frank Gore getting their first touchdown of the game against Seattle, even in the count at 10 apiece. They're trying to hold on to number 2, Joe. Troy Pep.
Yeah, they can clinch that as long as New Orleans loses Monday night at home to Atlanta. And that battle in the NFC South, otherwise that will be up in the air, provided the 49ers win that game going into week 17. On 3rd down. Vick. That's batted away by Skandrick. 4th down, and that'll bring the rookie kicker Alex Henry onto the field.
You talk about the number 2 seed, Joe, with San Francisco and then New Orleans. The fact that it's coming down to the wire, in all likelihood, both of those teams will have to play next week to try to secure the number 2 seed. You know, if you're San Francisco and whatever may or may not happen, and the team that then doesn't get it, you know, in a lot of ways they were in playoff mode right up until they got in.
Breeze when he and the Saints as a penalty flag is thrown. No flag is down on the field, and the 43-yard field goal try is good from Alex Henry. He has now made 13 straight. They pick up the flag, the 3 points good, and it's 17-0 Eagles. 16 of 26, 267 yards, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions, almost had a third touchdown that Avant fumbled into the end zone for a touchback. And he's hit 8 different receivers in this game. Cowboys will start at their 20, down 17 points now. You can get coverage of every NFL game on NFL Mobile. Call ** NFL to get NFL action right on your phone.
Well, not that anybody wondered, but if you had any questions as to what Tony Romo means to this team, I mean, we're getting a chance to see it here today. You know, even though, as we said, Stephen McGee has come in and he's done a pretty nice job. Hadn't really been able to get the ball down the field too much, and that's what Tony Romo brings to this offense. Over the years, this has been a big play offensive attack, but they haven't been able to get anything like that in this game.
It was a 3rd down throw that took Romo out of this game when his follow through with his right hand hit into the helmet of Jason Babbitt. Here's Sammy Morris, good for 2 over the left side. So Romo came out. First, here's a look at the injury on a day where really all they were hoping was to get through this game, as it turned out, with a win by the Giants. Get out of this game healthy. Well, it swelled up. That was the first wrap. And now it has progressed to this, where whatever ice is available in the Dallas area will be used to make sure that swelling gets out of the right hand of Tony Romo during the week before that game against the Giants next Sunday. Here's McGee. Penalty flag flies out of the secondary. McGee slides down short of the first down.
Penalty came, as you said, it was in the secondary. I'm not sure exactly what the call is going to be here. I didn't see much.
Take a look at what it could be with that contact with Brian Roll.
There's no foul for illegal contact. The quarterback was out of the pocket. 3rd down.
So they pick it up, and it'll be 3rd down after the 6-yard run by McGee.
You talk about Tony Romo's hand, and the initial report anyway is encouraging that it's not broken, and I think there's then a tendency to say, hey, he's going to be just fine. Even though I think he would have come back in and played if this game was meaningful, I wouldn't necessarily assume that he's fine. I mean, obviously, anytime you're talking about an injury to the throwing hand, it's of concern. But I've had some injuries that, without broken bones, have given me some problems throwing a football, but most of those have been to the thumb.
Back of the right hand. We look ahead to next week as Dallas. Jason Garrett was pleading his case, either with that call, picking up the flag, or the play clock. We look ahead to next week and realize, as you look at the schedule of games here on Fox, it is a doubleheader day, with a big one being America's Game of the Week, the Cowboys at the Giants. That is subject to change because of the flex scheduling. NBC had the Cowboys and Giants just a couple of weeks ago here. A game that the Giants came roaring back in the last 5 minutes, 12 seconds to win when they were down 12 points. Winning that game behind a great effort by Eli Manning, and now those two teams will meet next Sunday in New Jersey for the NFC East.
Yeah, and I think for the Cowboys, we expected, or a lot of people expected, that it would come down to them or the Philadelphia Eagles. Nobody really anticipated that the Giants would be in the conversation of winning the division, and as poorly as they've played here over the last 6 weeks, a nice win today against the Jets. And now they're positioned with one more win. They'll make the postseason for the first time in 3 years.
3rd down and 2. McGee pulls it down, and now down he goes, Jaquay Parker. And this defensive front for the Eagles has been relentless.
The offensive line for the Cowboys on this right side over here had some problems the last time these teams met, and they've had some problems again in this game. They run a twist. The defensive front does. Jaquay Parker, he's able to then get free, and Stephen McGee just had no chance.
So the sack brings up 4th down, and another punt from McBriar. Cole has one in this half, and now Parker. Chad Hall from inside the 40, and he tripped himself. Turf Monster got him. Punt of 43 yards. He had some room to run. He got a little too excited. Eagles have it up 17 here in Arlington. Time running out on this 3rd quarter as we welcome you inside our broadcast booth. Everybody, I'm Joe Buck. That's Troy Aikman. Pam's down on the field, and been talking a lot about Week 17 and the matchup with the Cowboys and the Giants. But how about overall? I mean, I think it shocked everybody that Green Bay lost for the first time in 20 games, that 19-game win streak at Kansas City, but they still have to be the favorite going into the tournament.
Yeah, I mean, as long as Aaron Rodgers is upright, they're the favorite, and it's hard to imagine. Even though Kansas City beat them with pretty good defense, I still think that anybody that beats them in the postseason is going to do it with a lot of points.
And really, that's the case as McCoy carries it over the left side. All these top teams, New England, Green Bay, New Orleans, give up a lot of yards and give up a lot of passing yards. And we could see some real shootouts in this postseason coming up.
Yeah, we constantly still hear that defense wins championships, and not to dismiss the importance of defense, but I believe that the game is different than it's ever been, and you better be able to score points. And yet I still look at Green Bay defensively, as badly as they have played. I still think that they can turn it on at any time.
Sean McCoy limped off, and Ronnie Brown, the former Dolphin, picks up a 1st down. Well, we talked about Drew Brees being 304 yards away from breaking Dan Marino's passing yardage record for a single season as they work on the left ankle of LaShawn McCoy. And right now the Saints are 11-3 in a battle for that number 2 seed at the moment. Green Bay still hasn't wrapped up the number 1 seed yet. But we all know that Saints team, which won it all in 09, can put up a lot of points to make a field look awfully short. Sean Jackson, the intended receiver, incomplete, and there was pressure by Ware. Let's go for a game break. Here's Kurt.
Well, a victory today by the Lions not only would clinch their first playoff berth since '99, but give them their first 10-win season since '95. Kevin Smith doing his part. Short 6-yard run. They lead it 31-10 over the Chargers in the 4th quarter. Joe, Troy, and Penn.
And that playoff picture, at least wild card-wise, is getting crystal clear in the NFC.
Well, with Chicago and the injury to Cutler, they kind of fell out of the race, and it was a little scary there for a while with the Detroit Lions. It would have been a real disappointment if they hadn't have made it to the playoffs after starting 5-0.
Here is Jackson. Depends on the spot. They're going to spot him short of a 1st down. The 3rd down and a yard down to Pam Oliver we go.
Well, Sean Lee, the linebacker who's been dealing with the wrist injury, he is getting attention from the trainers. Lee has been grabbing at that right hamstring. There's some tightness there, Joe. Coaches are holding him out for the time being. Back to you.
Well, he is the quarterback of this defense, and Rob Ryan told us he's as good as any young linebacker in his 2nd year that he's ever coached.
Yeah, he's a special talent, and he's a gym rat. He loves the game. We're going to be talking about him for a long time.
He's got 5 tackles today, 4 interceptions on the year as Brown carries for 1st down.
What I think is interesting, Joe, is, again, looking at next week's game as far as who's going to win this NFC East. The Giants winning today, but they've lost 5 of their last 7 games. If the Cowboys go on and lose this game, they will have lost 3 of their last 4. And yet here they are playing for the division title. I mean, it really is amazing that these two teams, after having not really finished all that well, and yet they'll be playing for the division title. And I think it just speaks to how down the NFC East was this year.
This has been a bad year for the division, no doubt, and a division that coming in. Brown will end this 3rd quarter with that carry over the right side for 3 yards. Everybody just about handed to the Eagles. They were eliminated today. Go to the 4th. Back after this from your local Fox station. still on the sideline. He started the day 60 yards behind Maurice Jones-Drew of Jacksonville for the league lead in rushing. The Eagles had a great running back, Steve Van Buren, a Hall of Famer in the mid to late 40s, who was dominant. And it was a record-setting year this season for McCoy with his 17 rushing touchdowns, 20 touchdowns overall, breaking both records that were held by Van Buren in the great 1945 season. Vick goes down, and that's DeMarcus Ware with his second of the day. And that, for Ware, who had 4 sacks over his last 7 games, gives him 18 on the season.
And Clay Harbor actually does a decent job. I mean, it's hard to go one-on-one against a guy like DeMarcus Ware. He's getting pushed back, but at least he stayed in front of him. It was more that, Vick just not able to get the ball out of his hands right away, and as soon as he steps up in the pocket, then DeMarcus Ware was right in his face.
At the start of the day, it was Babin leading the NFL with his 18 sacks. Of the Eagles, he's had a tremendous impact, one of the free agent additions. They brought him back after a year with the Titans, but now Ware is tight end. 3rd down and 12. Ronnie Brown is wrapped up by Hatcher after a gain of 5.
DeMarcus Ware on that previous play when he sacked Michael Vick, and you see Clay Harbor, that's tough duty right there. I mean, he's getting pushed back, and nowhere for Michael Vick to go with the football, and you see the respect between those two right there. But when you get the single coverage, boy, you just don't have a whole lot of time back there to hold it.
This will be the longest attempt of the season for Alex Henry, who has hit 13 straight. Has an attempted one longer than 47 yards this season, and the rookie drills it. That is 14 straight from the rookie out of Nebraska. 20-0 Eagles here in the 4th.
Sponsored by Lowe's. Lowe's, never stop improving. By Corona Extra, who invites you to find your beach. And by Burger King. Thicker cut for more flavor. Try the new fries only at Burger King.
We welcome you back. We talked a lot about the top 2 guys in sacks around the NFL. The one guy we're leaving out, or I am, is Jared Allen, who's not talked about because the Vikings season has been so bad. Well, they won today at Washington, and Jared Allen had a sack in that game. He leads the NFL with 18.5 as Dwayne Harris with a big return out across the 45. Tom Nelson with a tackle after a 51-yard return.
But this is a nice job by Alex Henry, and he maintains his position and at least is able to slow him down just enough. I mean, Dwayne Harris, as you see, he's got a free run right down the middle, but Henry is able to, a lot of times one-on-one on a kicker like that, you've got no chance, but yet Henry was able to do just enough to keep Harris from taking it to the house.
Henry's only 177 pounds. He hung in there enough to slow down Harris. With a 51-yard return, no touchdown. From the 49, McGee fires, and he's nearly picked by the rookie Roll. Trying to get it to Witten, and Brian Roll, who does not have an NFL interception, almost got one and a touchdown.
Yeah, that's because the ball was thrown behind. I mean, Jason Witten is very good at running that stick route from the tight end position, and you try to get the linebacker on his heels, but you have to throw that one out in front. Anytime that ball's thrown behind, that's where the linebacker's coming from, and boy, Brian Roll had a great opportunity to make a play on that.
So in this brilliant season for LaShawn McCoy, he's carted off the field. Looking at his ankle a bit earlier, and he is into the dressing room. 2nd down and 10. McGee is lucky that wasn't a pick. Here's Morris. Matthews on the stop. Now we look at the sack leaders. So Jared Allen is in front. For the Vikings, he has played hard all year. Minnesota got the win at Washington with 18.5. Babin started the day with 18. He does not have any yet. DeMarcus Ware has 2 to tie Babin in that race. 3rd down and 5.
I got to believe there's some motivation as to why DeMarcus Ware's been playing as much as he has here in this game, and the sack total being a big part of that.
McGee's flushed out of the pocket. And now downfield for Austin. He overthrew it. That'll bring up 4th down. 4th down and 5.
Yeah, they're trying to get something going. I mean, there hasn't been a lot of shots down the field. This is one of the few that we've seen, and had a chance, just unable to connect.
The Cowboys do not win here today. The NFC East will be won by a team with less than 10 wins for the first time since the 1970 NFL merger. Cowboys next week will be shooting for their 9th of the season. They trail here today at home to Vic and the Eagles by 20. Let's look ahead because it's so fun to do. First, we have to look back. Week 14, and we look ahead to this matchup, and it was Jason Pierre-Paul night here in Arlington. 2 sacks, safety, a forced fumble, and then at the end of the game after the timeout, the blocked field goal, which would have tied it. And he was the NFC Defensive Player of the Week, and this guy's played hard all year long, and even in a disappointing effort last week by the Giants, he played hard against the Redskins.
Yeah, he's been their defensive MVP.
And he is just figuring out this game. Sky is a limit for him. There's going to be a hold on this, as the pass is short of Avant.
Holding. Number 62 offense. Half the distance to the goal. Repeat 1st down.
It's Kelsey, the rookie center, joined by the rookie Danny Watkins up front at right guard, a former left tackle in college.
Yeah, that group overall, I mean, some changes made up there as they came into the season. Of course, moving Todd Hermans to right tackle, but a rookie center, Jason Kelsey, who started all this season, and he's going to be around a while too. That's a tough position to play for anybody, but to do it as a center, that's really saying something. To have 2 rookies playing this year, that's something they can build on a little bit.
1st down and 15. Here's Brown. Ronnie Brown with a nice run to take it across the 15. McCoy is out there taking x-rays right now of his left ankle. That was good for 10.
I talk about the offensive line and maybe building around 2 young rookies. Right guard Danny Watkins, who was their 1st-round pick out of Baylor. He was 26 years old when he was drafted. 27 years old now. He had his birthday, so he's not a young guy. He took up football late in his career. Was a firefighter for his first 5 years out of school, and then picked up the game.
And here he is, a starter up front next to Kelsey. Spencer got there too late as Vic was able to get rid of it on 2nd down in the direction of Avant. And that's why last year when we were going into the Super Bowl, it was held here in Arlington, you think of a guy like Marquise Pouncey and how good he was as a rookie center when they lost him and did not have him for that Super Bowl and the loss against the Green Bay Packers.
The centers around the league and the centers that I worked with when I was playing are usually the smartest guys along the offensive line. They have to make so many of the calls, change protections. They do a lot. They have to do a lot within the blocking scheme. It's just a tough position to play.
It's 3rd down and 5. Vic over the middle for Jackson. What a nice catch as he reached out, hauled it in 17 yards for a 1st down.
Well, excellent protection up front, and you're going to see the job that Deshaun Jackson is able to do on the catch. You're going over the middle. You'd like that ball on you a little bit more. Anytime you extend your arms out there knowing there's a free safety in the middle of the field, you're expecting a collision, but Deshaun Jackson's a fearless guy going over the middle of the field.
And with that said, this has been a disappointing season for Deshaun Jackson. There's no other way to look at it.
Absolutely, and disappointing to him as well because he's still waiting for that contract.
That was the talk coming into camp. It never happened. Jackson has been one of the most dynamic players in the NFC, has made the Pro Bowl as both a returner and as a wide receiver. He's a big play threat in a league filled with big plays, and the Eagles have him. He is not getting that contract yet, and you wonder what the future is for Jackson and the Eagles.
He's been underpaid for a number of years, and I can understand the disappointment, but you still got to go play.
This is McCoy back in the game, out of the X-ray room and back into the game. No game.
Well, this group, you know, as we said coming into the game, I mean, as long as they're healthy, and they can keep this group together. I mean, it's an explosive group. We've seen it this year. That, as we said, the thing that held them back was all the turnovers that they had. But they're hard to match up against, and you know, hopefully for Eagle fans and for this organization, they're able to keep this group intact.
You wonder where the Eagles would be without those 2 fourth-quarter missed field goals by the rookie Henry in that game in Philadelphia, and that come from behind win by Jim Harbaugh and the 49ers earlier in the year. On 3rd down, that one's into the ground at the feet of Selleck. You know, there was so much talk about Andy Reid at the beginning of the season, the 1-4 start, his dream team, all that stuff, disappointing. But Andy Reid in his 13th season has been in the playoffs 9 times in the first 12 years, runs a good organization, and as far as the guys we deal with, I think you realize when you sit down with him, he's in total charge of this franchise, and at least in my opinion, it's a franchise in good hands with Andy Reid.
Well, he's a great football coach. I can't imagine him going anywhere. I mean, who knows what might or might not happen, but I wouldn't anticipate him losing his job.
He wouldn't be unemployed long. As Dwayne Harris on the return dances around and takes it out to the 23. Michael Vick was injured on that last throw when he got hit by Spencer. He's on the sideline trying to shake out the cobwebs. His team up 20. America's Game of the Week to the OT, presented by Lowe's, coming up after this game. Plenty to talk about. The playoff picture coming more and more into focus. Down 20-0. McGee goes down in the arms of Derek Landry. That's number 2 on the year from the free agent from the Panthers. And this defensive front keeps on coming. The Cowboys, and I'm sure you remember parts of this game. Last time they were shut out at home was in '91 when Bud Carson's Eagle defense threw you around for 11 sacks.
You know, I was wondering, I thought it was 8 sacks, but now that I think back, you're right, 11. And
well, 3 of them you might not remember.
No, I remember those. I still remember them. Boy, they've had some great defenses for a long, long time.
McGee on the run as a wide open receiver, Des Bryant, along the sideline. And the completion will make it a more manageable 3rd down. Game break time. Here's Kirk.
We don't usually show field goals, but this is a special one. David Akers, 41st field goal of the year for the current 49er. That's a brand new single-season mark in the NFL. Extends the Niners' lead over Seattle. Right now, 16-10. Jim Harbaugh was upset about a non-call that didn't matter. Joe?
All right, thanks. Yeah, Troy and I looked at each other like, what was that? They missed David Akers. I know the rookie Henry's going to be a good one, it appears. Most accurate field goal kicker in collegiate history. Here's a nice throw for a 1st down to Bryant. But again, you go back to the 2 missed field goals against Akers and the 49ers at home. In that game, the 49ers came roaring back. That was the start of great things for San Francisco, and a loss that the Eagles will look back on and wonder what might have been if not for that.
Yeah, of course, David Akers had some really great years in Philadelphia, and I don't know exactly where they would be without him in San Francisco. I mean, he's had an excellent season for the 49ers.
Trying to get some points here before the end of the day. McGee and the Dallas Cowboys. That's Washington, and he is hit and dropped by Keenan Clayton. And a loss on the play of 3.
At the end of it, Stephen McGee going to the ground, you know, once again, and This is a tough one, Joe. I mean, when you think about this game and what we've seen, it's, you know, as I said earlier, the offense you can understand a little bit because Tony Romo not being in there, but well, I imagine they'll be able to put this one behind them knowing what's at stake as they go into New York.
That said, Romo doesn't block, and this is the real offensive line for the Dallas Cowboys. And they've had their hands full today. That ball looked like it bounced in there, but for now, and now they're going to overrule. They said catch it first, now they say incomplete. And McGee has been hit a lot here today. That was incomplete.
Yes, he has, and you know, I think that was somewhat anticipated coming into this game because of what Philadelphia has done all season, but then more importantly what they did against this Cowboys offense the last time the two teams met. You know, the Giants certainly capable of putting on that same kind of pressure, but they really haven't been able to do it this year very consistently.
There's the day for McGee. Montre Holland is down on a knee. Holland was brought back. He was originally supposed to be the starter when they let Leonard Davis go, and he came into camp overweight. They sent him away. He lost some weight. He's more of a presence and a bigger body inside. They put Bill Nagy on IR, a rookie, and it's Holland, and it's good for the Cowboys to see Montre Holland get up and be able to walk off on 3rd and 13.
Yeah, now they put Kevin Kowalski, the free agent rookie, there at left guard. See how he holds up.
Colin Jenkins across from him. Babin gets there too late. Washington on the catch, and he's got a first down for Dallas. And Babin came close, but got there a step late, and that catch and run by Washington, 15 yards and a first down.
Well, they're getting so much pressure there on Stephen McGee, as we said, that they run the screen pass to Washington, and you know, McGee finds himself on his back again. But at least for the Cowboys, they're able to pick up the first down.
Under 7 to play in this game. McGee fires, and it is incomplete. Martellus Bennett couldn't secure it. Lost his helmet, lost the football at 2nd and 10.
I'm going to go back to Juan Castillo as defensive coordinator, and you know, Eagle fans certainly know that it's been well discussed. You know, him going from offensive line to defensive coordinator. I don't know what ultimately happens, but I've got to believe that if he's not back as defensive coordinator, that he'll remain on this staff, and I think maybe even offensive line coach. I mean, he was an outstanding offensive line coach. He had to relearn everything that they've done under Andy Reid for the last several years with Howard Mudd when he came in.
Here's a pass batted down by Witten. We've talked a number of times, Troy, about the biggest acquisition you could make the case in the Andy Reid era was Jim Johnson as defensive coordinator. They've not been able to replace him. The one guy who studied under him, Steve Spagnuolo, could be out on the market if he's let go as head coach of the Rams. He's got ties to the Giants, won a Super Bowl as coordinator there of the defense, and he would be a guy that if they wanted to make a change, Andy Reid would look at hard.
I think Steve Spagnuolo, I think he's going to be picking his team and his price when this season's over. I mean, you think about it, as we said, so many explosive offenses, to get a defensive guy that's proven to be under demand.
McGee fires for Robinson. We haven't said his name today, and LaRon Robinson on 3rd down is short of a first down. Figure the Cowboys will go for it after a 5-yard catch. Asamoah.
You know, you show LaRon Robinson and the year he's had for Dallas, and I hope Jason Garrett got Norv Turner a really nice Christmas gift, because Norv gave him his back in August when he turned LaRon Robinson loose and let him know that we've got an awfully good receiver here who we're not going to be able to keep because of numbers. He knew the offense already. He could step right in and play, and he's been outstanding.
LaRon Robinson cannot re-sign until the season is over, but he's going to get a deal here with the Dallas Cowboys. That's Bryant on 4th down for a first down. Covered by Asamoah, and Dez Bryant with a catch, good for 9.
Yeah, Asamoah, he likes to come up and play press. He doesn't try to get physical with Dez Bryant. That's really his strength. He's able to get inside, and they pick up the first down.
When they're right, Dallas Cowboys have 3 wide receivers that can give you fits. And they will test that secondary of the New York Giants next week. Secondary that's been under heavy fire all season long. Here's Witten. He's still playing. And he's dragged down from behind by Casey Matthews, a gain of 1. You surprised to see Witten still out there?
Yeah, you know, I mean, there's a lot of guys I think you'd like to be able to just sit down, but then you've got to have other bodies that can come in and play. You know, Jason Witten, we certainly understand the importance of him and what he means to this offense coming into this game, the Cowboys' leading receiver and certainly the security blanket and the go-to guy for Tony Romo.
Witten just passed Drew Pearson, now 3rd on the all-time Cowboy receiving list, but he's just got 2 catches for 7 yards here today. Bryant again, he's been busy trying to make guys miss, and he ends up back at the 29, a completion of 5. Really, if there's any drama left in this game, and this would be a stretch to call it drama, but the last time Cowboys were shut out at home, it's been 165 games, and that is coincidentally the last road shutout by the Eagles under Bud Carson back in '91. Happened here, not here. It happened at Texas Stadium. 3rd down and 3. First down.
You talk about that shutout back in '91 against the Eagles. That '91 defense was #1 against the run, #1 against the pass, #1 overall. And we had to face them, of course, twice a year. And I remember that year the Broncos played them in Elway and Warren Moon, and they got a taste of what Game Green was all about. I mean, it was not fun facing those Eagle defenses during those years.
From the 18 on 1st down, McGee. Then looking for Witten, who drives right into Nate Allen, a gain of 8. Witten, who's had 8 straight years of 700+ receiving yards. 2nd longest streak for a tight end. Hall of Famer Shannon Sharp is first on that list. 2nd down Dallas.
You know, as great as Jason Witten is on the field, he's as good a leader in that locker room. You know, every coach who's come through Dallas just marvels at the way he competes every day in practice, and he just goes about it the right way, a real professional.
2nd down and 2. McGee for Witten, incomplete, covered by Allen. 3rd down. Witten's getting a workout here at the end of a meaningless game for Dallas. We came on saying there was a roundabout way Dallas could be a wild card team getting in. That's been eliminated with the different results that have happened here in week 16. So with that, next week is legitimately win and in, lose, and you're finished.
It's going to be fun. The playoffs start early. You know, for some of these teams like the Eagles, they're obviously not going to get in, but they had to win a lot of games here down the stretch. But next week, they're at the Meadowlands. It'll be a true playoff game.
3rd down and 2.
Delay game, offense, 5-yard penalty, 3rd down.
So 3rd down and 7. And at least the wrap for Romo is decreased in size as they've taken the ice off the back of that right hand.
You think that will be the most talked about right hand?
Yes.
This next week.
They'll be giving updates on it hourly on the ticket. All your friends with the ticket.
Oh, it'll be.
How will tomorrow be?
I'll give you a report.
Okay. Fake Jerry will be talking to the fake Jason. End zone. Incomplete. Hansen on the coverage of Miles Austin. And it's 4th down.
Ball was just a little bit late getting there. Looks like Miles might have had a chance at bringing that in. No, he got a hand. He got a hand on it right at the last minute. But you know, Stephen McGee, typically you work deep and then come shallow. And in most of the game, he's been looking underneath and getting the ball out of his hands. He looked underneath that time and then was late trying to get the ball to the corner for the touchdown.
Here's what likely stands in the way of a shutout. Timeout taken by Philadelphia. 4th down when we come back on Christmas Eve in Texas. 7 for Stephen McGee. Took over after the first series with the hand injury suffered by Tony Romo.
That's okay.
McGee gets out of trouble. End zone incomplete, and the Eagles take over. Pass was behind Martellus Bennett. And with 2:13 remaining, the Eagles will have it up 20-0.
Well, Stephen McGee, I mean, he does a nice job of avoiding the sack, stepping up in the pocket. He's got him. He's got him, but a ball that was thrown behind. We've seen a few of those, but he had a chance. The ball kind of comes out. I've seen that a couple of times, too, with him, that the balls does not come out real tight. But they had a chance for Martellus Bennett, maybe even Miles Austin, and just not a very good throw. But credit Jason Garrett for not settling for the field goal and trying to come away with a touchdown.
Here's LaRon Robinson. He was left alone screaming for the ball, but by that point, McGee was running out to his left.
That guy always says, hey, I was open. I said, that's great. And I was dodging 300-pounders.
And now 1st down as the Eagles take over, and they'll just attempt to run it out. That's Ronnie Brown. Out to the 19. That will take us to a 2-minute warning here at Cowboys Stadium. Somebody stopped that clock with 2 minutes left. The Eagles with the ball up 20-0 over their rival, the Cowboys. 2nd down and 6 for the Eagles, who were eliminated from playoff contention here today because of a Giants win over the Jets. Michael Vick, 18 of 32. 293 yards, 2 touchdowns, no interceptions, hit 8 different receivers. Hands here to Brown, who was a yard shy of a 1st down. And for the Eagles defense, their first shutout since December 1st of 1996, 243 games. And as we've said, an ascending defense here at the end under first-year defensive coordinator Juan Castillo, although they did get to work against Stephen McGee as opposed to Romo, who's been red hot.
Yeah, I just applaud Jason Garrett for going for the touchdown rather than just settling for a field goal in a meaningless game when the score really doesn't mean much. And yeah, I guess if you wanted to keep that alive in terms of coming away without a shutout, very easily could have just settled for the field goal.
Well, I'll get the ball back. If he's worried about the shutout, as the clock will continue to wind on 4th down.
You look at it and it's thinking, well, maybe Andy Reid will just go for it here and then just try to run out this clock. But Bobby April, the special teams coach, waiting to get word from Andy Reid as well.
Andy Reid is going to call a timeout, it would appear, as he is right in the ear of the official. Play clock winding down on 4th and 1.
Guess we'll find out how important the shutout is to Andy Reid. Whether they are going to punt.
1 timeout left for the Eagles, but 30 seconds left in the game. Let's go for a game break. Here's Kurt.
Hey, don't put San Francisco in that number 2 slot yet. After they had a punt block, Marshawn Lynch gets the first rushing touchdown against the 49ers all season. Seattle now has the lead 17-16 at home in the 4th quarter. Joe, Troy, and Pam, as soon as you guys are done, we'll take your audience to the finish it out.
All right, good. So that jockeying for position in the NFC with Green Bay in the top spot, then San Francisco, then New Orleans. New Orleans will play on Monday night at home against Atlanta. Atlanta's been hot, and they are now in the driver's seat for a playoff spot as a wild card. Atlanta losing the previous meeting at home. This one blocked by the rookie Carter, and now taken back by Holly. with 22 seconds left. Bruce Carter got his hand on it as Chaz Henry took a long time to get rid of it, and now back to the shutout numbers as the offense comes on the field for Dallas.
You see the pressure just right up the middle. He's able to, Bruce Carter is, and gets his hands on it, and Andy Reid's probably saying now he should have just gone for it on fourth down.
Well, the ball is at the 16. Again, the only thing on the line here is the shutout. McGee will start in the shotgun. McGee gets out of trouble, looking for a block. And out of bounds inside the 5 with a first down, 12 seconds left.
Well, Stephen McGee's just not able to find anybody open down the field, and that time protection was pretty good. You can see he has some time to look around and see where he can go with the ball. He had the crossing route coming across his face, but he decides not to throw it to him, and nice little game for him.
One thing he's going to have to find after this is a cold tub and a hot tub, because he is limping. He's been hit a lot.
I think Romo's got some extra ice for him.
12 seconds left in the game. Will there be a shutout? The big drama left in this. The answer, no. Touchdown, Austin. And with 7 seconds left, the shutout is averted by the Dallas Cowboys thanks to that blocked punt. And maybe the most mild celebration of a touchdown, as we're giving the drama all we can here with the shutout.
You sure are. I like that. Hey, well, just tuning in, they're saying, what's the score right now?
Right. Well, it's about to be 20-7 with 7 seconds left. The story of the day will be Tony Romo. It'll be what happened in the Meadowlands while the early part of this game was happening here in Arlington. Romo started the game, and then in the first series on a third down on his follow-through was crunched by Babin and hit his right hand on Babin's helmet. And you can see the swelling, it just ballooning up. They wrapped it, put ice on it. The ice is off that hand, but he is elevating it, and he'll be working on that thing all week to try to get the swelling out of there and be right for their matchup to win. Winner will win the division next week at the Giants.
He's spending a lot of hours there in the training room after everybody's gone home, I'm sure. And what did he tell us the other day, Joe, that considering how he was playing coming into this game, and then the fact that his guys, I mean, he hasn't really had his full arsenal for much of this season, but they were finally back and healthy, that this is as good as he's felt at this point in the season than any other point in his career. And now you can read lips there. He said, I'll be all right. That's the first time we've seen him smile since coming out of the game, but who knows how that hand will respond during the course of the week. That's right.
Chad Hall waits for the kick. He's back. In a 20-7 game, Swift kick, and Ronnie Brown will slide down, and that means we'll have one more snap, and that'll be the end, at least for these two teams, of week number 16 in the NFL in this 2011-2012 season. Jason Garrett's team will go to 8-7. Andy Reid's team will go to 7-8. In what has been a season with many missed opportunities for each side. And there's the matchup next Sunday, and that's all that matters at this point. The winner wins the division, goes to the playoffs. The loser's finished. And we'll take a break and come back here to Arlington after we step aside. It is Christmas Eve here in Texas, and it was all Philadelphia here this afternoon. A 20-7 win here in Week 16.